Do you often find yourself feeling impatient or frustrated in stressful situations? In Ajahn Brahm's talk, The Power of Patience, he shares 4 effective practices to cultivate patience in your daily life. Learn how to stay calm, embrace challenges, and find peace in the present moment. Number 1, stay present in the moment. Patience is about being fully engaged with where you are and what you're experiencing right now, rather than constantly focusing on future outcomes or trying to rush through life.
Patience is the highest of all the spiritual qualities. So what does it mean by being patient? You can just see just how many people are rushing around this world trying to get somewhere, and often think, where are you trying to get? Sometimes you fly off to Thailand and you fly back again. Sometimes you go home and you come back here, you come back here, you go home again. Have you ever noticed you always finish off where you started? That's why sometimes I see these poor horses on this horse racing. They go round and round and round, they never get anywhere. Or Olympic Games, the same thing. If you go on a sprint, they go round and come back again. High jump, you go up, you go down. That's just the life. You never really get anywhere, do you? That's why that sometimes we have like a phrase in English, and they ask how you're going, you're getting there. Where are you getting? I'll tell you where you're going. Karakata, Pinaroo or Fremantle. That's where you'll end up. So when you say I'm getting there, that's where you're going. So is that really where you want to hurry to end up there? So instead of doing that, instead of trying to get somewhere, instead of trying to sort of go somewhere, what patience means is being here. Being with what you have. Now that's sometimes very difficult, because what you have is sometimes really unpleasant, really nasty, really difficult to bear. They're like mother-in-law, husband, wife, kids. Sometimes these people can drive you crazy. But if we don't have that patience, then we miss so much of life. In fact, sometimes you ask a person, how old are you now? And where's all those years gone? How many years have passed by? Why? Where? Have you really been there while life was happening? Because otherwise people, they just rush ahead of themselves so fast that that's why life goes by and we wake up one morning, we're 40, we're 50, we're 60, we're 70. And where has all that time gone? It's all gone because we weren't here. So being patient is learning how to be here. And learning how to be here is not an easy thing to do. Number one, our life keeps on telling us to plan for the future, and well, what are you going to do this weekend? Anyone know what they're going to do this weekend? Absolutely uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen this weekend. So you may have sort of plans, but tentative plans. So keep it just not set in concrete, because when you have future plans, you spend too much time there in the future. A lot of times it's trying to get this out of the way so you can go and do something else. And you find that what you're really getting out of the way is your life. So being patient is learning how to be here, being with things, rather than trying to get rid of things.
Number 2, embrace difficult situations. Instead of resisting or trying to escape discomfort, accept challenges with a cool head and warm heart. Learning to embrace difficulties helps cultivate patience and reduces frustration.
Sometimes unpleasant, you're sick, or it's hot, or it's cold. You all know, were you very cold this week? Well, I just came back from Thailand on Tuesday afternoon. As soon as I came out from this warm country, you got hit by this cold, icy wind. But you know what happens when that happens to you? When you feel really cold? When you're cold outside, you should make an even warmer heart. And when you have too much heat, what should you do? Keep a cool head. That's called Buddhist aircon. It doesn't cost anything. It's environmentally friendly. So remember, when it's warm, keep a cool head. When it's cold, keep a warm heart. And And what do we mean by a warm heart? A warm heart means you have love, you embrace these things. And we can embrace almost anything. You can love anything. I don't know if I mentioned that story last couple of weeks ago. That story of that woman who always kept a photograph of her husband in her purse, in her sort of handbag. And they were been married for about 30-40 years, and she always carried a photograph of her husband around with her to use in times of difficulty and trouble. Because whenever life was a real problem, whenever it was just so difficult, she would open up her handbag and take out the picture of the man she'd been married to for 30 years. And she looked at him and said, "If I can endure that, I can endure anything." So that put all the problems in perspective. This is learning about being patient with things. And life is like this. We have to learn how to put up with things. But to learn how to be patient, to learn how to be with things, is actually to have that warm heart towards things. Or when life gets difficult, have a bit of a cool head, so you don't get too upset. And that's actually learning patience, a cool head and a warm heart. Because life is not always easy. We always have to do things and worry about. We always have to do things, but it's when we worry about the things that causes the impatience. And you ever notice that patience means being with what's happening? If it's unpleasant, we can learn from it. We can always do something with something. But impatience is when we want to get rid of things to try and be somewhere else. So I call patience waiting in the moment. And impatience is waiting in the future. Waiting for something to happen. Waiting for some place where you don't have to have this problem, this anxiety, this trouble, these people who cause you all sorts of problems. Waiting in the future for something to happen, rather than waiting in this moment. The idea of waiting is a very beautiful word, because it doesn't just mean being patient. It means like a waiter in a restaurant. You're actually serving this moment, rather than fighting it.
Number 3, avoid overthinking. Often, the task itself is not as hard as our thoughts about it. By focusing on the present task without overthinking, we can approach challenges with more patience and less stress.
In Thailand, and sometimes people say, "How did he teach you?" Especially, actually by this time I was fluent in Thai. When you first went to places like that, how did this Ajahn Chah couldn't speak a word of English. Actually, he did learn one word of English when he went to London for a few weeks. And when he came back, we asked him in Thai, "Did you learn any English? Any English words when you were staying in London?" He said, "Yeah, I learned one word." "What was that?" "Cup of tea." That's the only word. Because being in London, he heard that all the day. Cup of tea. You want a cup of tea? Have a cup of tea. So that's the only word in English he knew. That's probably because he was Ajahn Chah. But anyway, but how did he teach us? And this is an example of the wisdom of a great monk. It was more like by example, by object lessons. Because on this one occasion, we were just building a main hall in his big monastery in Wat Pah Pong, where he lived. And once the hall was finished, there was all this earth left over. And so, guess who had to move it? The monks. Free labour. Exploitation. We didn't have a union in that time. I always thought we should have started a union so we're not exploited by these senior monks. But now I'm a senior monk and I exploit my younger monks. But that's just part of it. It's not really exploitation. It's giving the opportunity to make good karma. So on this occasion, Ajahn Chah was giving us the opportunity to make good karma. We had to move all this earth, and it was a huge pile of earth. Now, imagine, this is not sort of Bangkok, not some city, this is out in the jungles, in the forests. Many of you may have gone to these monasteries, but they're much thicker in those days, and now it's really nice. In those days it was thick forest, lots of mosquitoes, we'd have hardly anything to eat, very small amount of food. The meal was over by about 9 o'clock, and so the rest of the day from 9 o'clock until you couldn't see anymore, well, you couldn't see, you got lanterns out, we were shoveling and pushing earth all day. So what was that, about 15 hours, it was about 13 hours of solid work, sort of pushing earth, labouring in the hot weather, sticky, steaming and being bitten by mosquitoes. It was really tough work. But you had a lot of faith. This was for your teacher, for a monastery. So he didn't mind doing that. For 3 days it took us to move the earth to where Ajahn Chah wanted to put it. And after the earth we finished, we thought, great, now I can have a shower, wash my robes, and tomorrow do some meditation. What happened that night? Ajahn Chah went to visit another monastery. And so the second monk, the deputy monk, who's now the abbot who took over from Ajahn Chah, the deputy monk, after our morning meal, called us all together. He said, I've been thinking last night, so that earth's in the wrong place. Maybe we should move it somewhere else. And he had a good point. It made a lot of sense once he explained it to us. So another 3 days of hot work in the steaming, mosquito-ridden jungle, and just one meal a day. It was tough, but you could do it. Patience and stuff. So 3 more days of hard, filthy work. And after the 6th day, we finished, we moved it to where we wanted. And again I thought, I'm going to have a nice rest tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to wash all my robes. They were filthy, they were stinky. And have a nice meditate the next day. But that night, Ajahn Chah came back. And after the meal, he called us together and said, I thought I told you to put the earth over there. Now you put it over here. Move it. So he had to move it again. 3 more days of hard, filthy work were in front of me. And it was at that time that I lost my faith. These stupid senior monks, they don't push the wheelbarrows, they just sit in the room talking to people all day. They don't have to sort of work hard, they don't have to enjoy mosquitoes and stuff. And I was really upset. I was angry. And like I was conditioned to do, if you're angry in a place like Australia or in England, what do? Swear. So that's what I was doing, swearing. Sort of in English, so the Thai monks couldn't understand what I was really saying. But they could see I wasn't very happy. One came up to me and sadhu to him. He gave me this incredibly powerful teaching. He told me, pushing the wheelbarrow is easy. Thinking about it is the difficult part. Pushing the wheelbarrow is easy. Thinking about it is the hard part. And that just went right to my heart. I stopped thinking about it and complaining. And instead, I just pushed. In the moment, caring for what I was doing, not complaining. And I found the wheelbarrow was very easy to push from that time on. It felt lighter. And those extra 3 days went by in a flash. When I thought 3 more days, I wasn't being patient, I wasn't waiting in the moment. I was waiting in the future, waiting for this terrible experience to disappear. But when I learned patience, I was in this moment, pushing a wheelbarrow, caring for it, and there was no problem at all. This is a thing when you know what patience is. It makes everything so easy. When you're waiting for it to finish, it makes it impossible to bear. And that's what complaining is. Not wanting to be here, wanting to get rid of this and go somewhere else. That is the problem. It's the mental suffering. So when I learned not to think about these things, just do it, it's fine. It actually was far more pleasant. It was fun. And of course, after those next 3 days, when we finished moving that earth, we didn't have to move it again. After 9 days I could have my shower, I could wash my robes and do some more meditation, have a rest. And to this day I think those two monks sat down that evening before and planned it all out. We'll teach these monks about patience and about some teachings which will help them for the rest of their life. So that's what I have to do now. If I have to travel somewhere, I just do it. If you have to give lots and lots of talks, and sometimes I talk from early in the morning till late at night, you don't think about it, you just do it. If you have to go to the dentist, if you have to have chemotherapy, radiation therapy, surgery, just do it, don't think about it. And then you find the trick of being patient, waiting in this moment, being here, caring for this moment, instead of complaining or wanting to get somewhere else.
The true power of patience lies not in avoiding challenges, but in embracing them with calm, kindness, and resilience. Let go of frustration and allow patience to guide you. Every moment becomes an opportunity for growth, not stress. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more mindful living tips.